light defects. A little bit there, a little worse. All right, good morning. Oh, that is not comfortable. All right, Saturday morning. I watched this thing last night, and now we're all dried up. But I'm doing a single stage paint correction and Geon Infinite. Eh. These fuckers reach out to me. Okay. Oh man. Much better. That was it. All right, it's Saturday, it's 3 o'clock. Today I've been doing just the polishing and, well, we're gonna wash it now with, it's Geon degrease tabs. So the car was dropped off Friday night, like, I don't know, what, 6:30, 6:45. And it is here for a week, so I'm not rushing. But I do want to complete it, you know, this weekend. I don't want to be touching this thing for the next week. Getting the car on Friday night I was getting flashbacks to, you know, my pre-COVID detailing schedule. I'd be in the office, I would have cars dropped off Friday. You know, folks would just leave them here. The nanny or my wife would get the keys. And then I would wash the car Friday night, you know, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'd be done. Saturday would be full polish and ceramic. I typically would get the ceramic on like, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock Saturday night, right? Because the car was getting picked up on Sunday. So I needed that overnight, you know, cure cycle. And then Sunday I would do the interior and finish it up, and then it would get picked up. You know, that was a very aggressive timeline, at least, you know, compared to what I do now, or what I've been doing, you know, since COVID, as far as getting the cars on Thursday and then still having that Sunday completion. But that Thursday drop off, you know, really works out much better because I can do the prep Thursday night, and then Friday I can start polishing, and I can get, you know, a couple hours in on Friday. So by the time the weekend comes, you know, I'm like 5 hours ahead, you know, which is great. You know, plus I work from home, so, you know, I can start earlier, right? I'm not commuting. But I think I work for like the last bank that is still letting us work remote. We're gonna see how long that that lasts. You know, they did a return to office like in 23, towards the end of 23, and attrition kicked up. You know, they were getting 40% attrition in some groups. So they backed off it, and it hasn't been brought up again, but I'm kind of counting the days. We'll have to see. I mean, my boss is in Houston. My two teammates, they're in Denver. You know, there is 0 people I interact with in Charlotte. You know, our boss's boss, he's in Florida, right? Everyone's pretty scattered. Our CRO, right, the chief risk officer, he's in Charlotte, you know, but he's you know, he's in charge of the whole division. I don't talk with him. Maybe I should talk to him. He made $10 million last year. It's all public record. The bulk of that's equity, you know, RSUs. He did get a sign-on bonus. He came from Bank of America, you know, but I'm not used to seeing those types of paychecks, right? Fannie Mae, I mean, well, we were under conservatorship post, you know, 2008, 2009. So, you know, those guys, those CEOs were assigned. But in any event, you know, the pay gap is real. But he's the guy that's going to dictate our bonus structure and RSUs. The way my employment agreement states, like I have a target, you know, bonus percentage, and I have a target RSU dollar amount. And if we, you know, obviously if I meet all my goals, I had to submit self-assessments last week. You know, but if I hit all my goals, which I did, but we also have our budget goals, our portfolio loss budget goals, and we need to hit that in December. It's not just me that's looking at that budget, right? Everyone's, you know, bonus structure is dependent on that budget number hitting. But we don't, you know, we have to get through year end, and then year-end financials have to get published, so we really don't get any news till like February. All right, blow the car off. This is a big rag company drying towel. I might be able to do the ceramic tonight, but this thing has to be completely dry. Like, you don't want any, you know, water dripping down. So we'll see. I'll put the dehumidifier on and get a fan going, and we'll just let this thing sit for the afternoon. But this is Lewis's wife's car. Lewis done a number of details for Lewis. The Marina F80 M3 from 2 videos back is his. Prior videos, his wife used to have a blue 4Runner. There's a video on a G80 M3. A Secure Orange M3. If you go back like 2 years maybe. You know, but Lewis has been, you know, very, very supportive. And he lives on the opposite side of town. He has a mobile detailer come to his shop that's also GEON certified for the mobile ceramics. You know, so I definitely appreciate, you know, his continued, you know, support of letting me wash his cars. But Jackson does his maintenance. Jackson full-time, it's J&B Detailing. If you're in Charlotte looking for some mobile support. Oh, I got a lot of top coats. Mows. Here, let's do an inventory check. All right, so this car is getting Infinite. And as far as my inventory goes, let's see, that leaves me with 1, 2 Infinites. Wow, I got a bunch of top coats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 top coats. 1, 2. Is that a Mows? Yeah, it's a Mows. And 3 Mows. 1 Geon rim, 1 View, and some empties. Overpriced camera I don't use. Okay, so Infinite light paint correction on a large size vehicle like this, I charge $14.75. This color has to be my favorite, like standard blue. You know, this and Audi's Ascari blue. I almost think this is more vibrant. But this is called Marina Bay Blue. As far as paint condition goes, so I believe it's a 24. I don't think it's a 25 given it has, you know, 22,000 miles on it. But, and I'm pretty sure he bought it slightly used. So there was definite signs of tunnel wash marks. And it was cuspy between a single step correction like this versus, you know, me doing a 2-step. I think it cleaned up enough to where I wasn't really questioning it, but if the goal was to get it, you know, as best as possible, it needs more polishing. You know, but to the normal person, to the, you know, even avid enthusiasts, unless you're really looking for stuff, you know, under lights, it's in great shape. I wanted to do the ceramic last night. So it's Sunday morning. It's 9 o'clock. I was running around doing errands this morning. Now we're gonna get the ceramic on. But Saturday, you know, full day Saturday, 10 hours. You know, I was able to polish the whole thing yesterday, do the interior, and wash it. That's a full day work. I took Tuesday off from work. I have to go, no, I'm going to Kannapolis. On Tuesday, I ordered food. I ordered ribs and chicken and pork from a random off Facebook. So we'll see how that turns out. We typically cater for Christmas meals, and I don't know. We wanted to try something different. I was you know, staying on Marketplace looking at cars, and I stumbled across this guy. You know, he's got the full smokers. His pictures looked amazing as far as the food goes. So I ordered food from him. I have to pick it up on Tuesday. I wasn't really looking at the address, not realizing that it's an hour north of us. His wife likes these blue cars. The 4Runner was this bright blue. You know, her and I have similar taste in colors. I think this thing's gorgeous. We're past the polar vortex, so it's 47 degrees outside. You know, it's really warm. I still have the mini split going. I want to get it up to, I think I have it set on 68. You know, because I washed the car in here yesterday, it was wet. So I ran the dehumidifier on the mini split all night. I had a fan going. That dried out the garage, you know, this morning. And then, what was it? It was like 6:30 this morning. I came out and I moved the cars around and I turned the heater on. just to start warming up the car. The last video I talked about my year-to-date volume. So I was at 27 cars. This puts me at 28 total cars for the year, which is a little light. You know, I try to get at least 30. You know, my bigger year was like 35 projects. So we ended at 28. I did have a couple folks I thought were going to pull through, but just didn't work out, didn't happen. And then like last weekend, I got a message from a neighbor and from a schoolmate. Their kids go to the same school. And the husband has an expedition, and he was out of town, and the wife and the kids took it. And I guess they got it all muddy inside. And the husband was a little grumpy about it. So his wife asked if I would, you know, take care of the mud inside. And she asked if, you know, she said, you can, you know, detail inside and out if you want. So I said, okay, I have a car coming this week. It would have to be like now if you want to do it. So I quoted my normal price, right? I charged $475 for a, you know, full-size expedition, third row, you know, detail. I would have, you know, call it a day into that car, you know, 7 hours into it. You know, instantly, once I quoted that number, instantly she's like, how much just for the clay? And I was like, damn it, you know, I really don't like, you know, bidding like that, you know, these like bespoke, you know, just focus on one area type gig. So I was trying to be nice, you know, so I said 150, just 150, you know, a couple hours. And then, you know, instantly again, she responded back. She goes, I'm going to try to do it myself, LOL. And I'm just like, all right, you know, have at it. You know, you try to be nice, but it really just backfires. You know, like every service, you know, you kind of have an idea in your head, like what something is worth to you. And clearly it wasn't worth that to her. You know, so I try, I don't know why it bothers me, you know, mainly because I'm fearful of looking like a jerk. You know, maybe she thought I was price gouging her, when in fact that's a, you know, very normal rate, you know, for the time and effort that would go into it. You know, it's a big car. I don't know. I just thought it was funny, the quick responses I was getting out of it. You know, it would have been that same detail I did on the F80 M3, Lewis's car in that last video. You know, I charged him $375 for that, right? Because that's a smaller car, mid-size sedan. So $475 is for the large sizes, right? Same thing with this. I consider this a large size. You know, so everyone just has their different, you know, perceived value of jobs. You know, it's probably the same reason why, like, I cut my own grass, right? To me, that seems like a job I like to do. I outsource the chemicals, but, you know, me mowing it is right up my alley. All right, I'm all done. I'm probably missing some video footage, but I moved the car back. And this is it. This thing's amazing. I love this color. We got the wheels all wiped down. Yeah. And this is the interior, so clean and conditioned. Then leather, a Geon leather coat. Everything's all cleaned up. Back seat. All right. Now it's going to sit.